Hello, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to Tomorrow.City. My name's Albert Garcia. I lead our connected communities at Cisco Systems, and I'm very excited to moderate with these two gentlemen. Very important subject, digitization of the right-of-way. You know, the right-of-way, for the most part, is probably the foundation for urban infrastructure. And for decades, we've communicated to its users basically by painted signs on the street. And so today we see a very different right-of-way. We see a much more connected, a much more innovative, and much more data-driven approach to the right-of-way. At Cisco, we feel the digitization of the right-of-way really is the foundation for the way cities are, especially the more technology-focused cities, are revolutionizing their approach to AI and more of an agentic AI future. And so from a Cisco perspective, by connecting, high-speed connectivity, security, it's starting to look at the right-of-way in a very different light, from a static asset to much more of a dynamic approach to modernizing transportation, mobility, and so many other things. And really, we're helping municipalities break down the silos to really leverage the right-of-way in very unique ways to solve some of these unique problems. And so I'm very excited to work with these two gentlemen, and let me first introduce them to my is it my right? My right, Herb Tsai, a managing partner of Pioneer Partners, who brings a wealth of experience in helping municipalities across the US navigate complex infrastructure projects. And Raimundo Rodulfo, the CIO for the city of Coral Gables, a beautiful city of Coral Gables. I managed to go there on Sunday night to enjoy dinner there. He's a pioneer in implementing forward-thinking digital city strategies and an early adopter, a very early adopter in AI-powered automation. So welcome, gentlemen, and let's kick it off. I'll start out with a simple question. Where do you guys see the intersection between technology and the right-of-way and how it's modernizing city infrastructure? I'll start with Herb.
Okay, and I'm going to break the rules here in the first 30 seconds. So can I ask you a quick question of the audience?
Oh God, now you're going to ask me?
Okay,
them? Okay,
right.
That's fine.
So I just want to know where to dial this in, because I can talk about all types of things, and if you guys know anything about me, I break a lot of rules but not laws. Who's more interested in, you can raise your hand 3 times, by the way, modernization of right-of-way? Who's interested in kind of that, sort of? Okay, kind of lukewarm response. Digital transformation, modernization of right-of-way, okay? Public safety implications of right-of-way, okay? I know where to dial it in. So
sounds like a little bit of everything.
Yeah, a little bit of everything, especially the last two. So my background, real quick, is I work with cities and companies. I sit in the middle. I'm vendor and technology agnostic. So we've done smart city master planning. We've done 100 cities across actually the world. And some of my comments are going to be especially in the public safety. So I've got a very weird background in counterterrorism and designations and a background in law enforcement, all these other things. So I'm going to bring in public safety, technology, economic development, some modernizations on private sector, and working with cities all together. So that's kind of the lens I'm going to look through. So real quick, because Raimundo's got some great things to share, when I think about the right-of-way and where we're at to answer that question is, think about your phone. Your phone is a platform. Your phone, yeah, we make phone calls and we send texts. The text message app, the messaging app is one of the many apps that's on your phone. To me, the right-of-way is an operations, it's a system. It's like an operating system. So you've got to look at the right-of-way as a series of sensors and connectivity and all these different apps that you are running. And if you think about it from a holistic, comprehensive, and integrated basis, all the different opportunities to be able to put or fuse all these things together, it's really important. So even if you're thinking about, coming out today, I had to catch a cab, my Uber didn't show up, but you got Waze, I've got weather, I've got traffic light synchronization. Just getting out of bed every day when you go to work or doing whatever you're doing, there are all these sensors that are in the right-of-way, along with also their disparate data that all come together into a very comprehensive and seamless and often invisible platform. And that's the power of the right-of-way. So to me, the right-of-way that I think about it is, how do we look at this invisible operating system, putting them all together in real time to be able to make a really big impact on daily life.
Thank you. Raimundo, what do you think?
Well, when we started our smart districts projects in 2015, we had two things in mind. One was hyperconnectivity, and the other one was hyper automation. So hyperconnectivity was connecting everything. So having high-speed, robust, resilient, because we live in hurricane zone, resilient communication infrastructure with our own underground fiber optics networks, our wireless point-to-point, gigabit, and even satellite and cellular, all those redundancies that we use them all when we have a hurricane. But then we also needed the ability to have cyber-physical infrastructure. Basically, everything is cyber-physical infrastructure. You have intelligent connected infrastructure, smart lights, smart poles, multimodal traffic sensors. And then you have also the systems that we used to call the IoT, but basically it's intelligent connected infrastructure that gives you actionable insight that you use to improve response times for public safety, or you use it for visibility over the environment, like air quality sensors or water quality sensors, or you use it to improve traffic safety or lower crime with CCTV networks and automated license plate readers. So that is a fabric. It's a digital fabric. It's basically what some people call in the IEEE, they call it digital infrastructure or digital reality. Sometimes they call it digital reality. Basically, everything is part of the urban ecosystem. In the past, municipalities, we thought about the enterprise. Oh, we're going to have data centers, and we're going to have computing systems, and we're going to have an internal infrastructure to serve the citizens. Today, that's long gone. Today, the enterprise is the urban ecosystem. The urban ecosystem that includes all the stakeholders, the organizations, the hospitals, the schools, all the partners in the community, the businesses, the small businesses. Everybody is part of that smart city ecosystem. So the only way to serve them all is by having that hyper-connected and hyper-automated smart district infrastructure that gives you the insight and gives you the ability to respond to issues.
Raimundo, I'll do a follow-up question to that. And let's get to the practical side of it all. I mean, you guys are very advanced, and there's a lot of small municipalities out there, large and big, that are grappling with how do I start building out an infrastructure like that to what you talked about. What were some of the, I guess, practical lessons learned that you've gone through in terms of your approach?
Well, humble beginnings for us was, start doing quick wins. You don't do it all at the same time. But connectivity was very important. So today there are many ways how you can connect. Today there is more high bandwidth wireless connectivity alternatives that we didn't have when we started. So we went directly to fiber optics and to gigabit point-to-point connectivity, because cellular LTE at the time was not enough to power, like high-resolution cameras and that kind of device. Today, with 5G or with the Starlink devices, you can do a lot of things for a low cost, and you can start connecting. But at the end, everything has to be aligned with the needs and priorities of the community. Basically, it's quality of life. So we are not in the technology business. We are in the quality of life business. So everything we do has to be a strategic project, and you need to have alignment. In our case, we use the NIST-Baldrige Community of Excellence framework to align all our initiatives with strategic goals from the citizens. Public safety issues. For example, we implemented technology that helped police lower crime more than 40% in just 2 years. And we helped to implement cyber-physical infrastructure that helped to reduce traffic accidents 44% in just 2 years. So everything is quantifiable with ROI, everything is quality of life driven, if you have that strategic management framework. So you're able to tie every infrastructure project to a strategic goal of the organization, to a need of the citizens. So it's close to their heart, and they support it, because you need the support from the community. You start bringing a lot of AI and robotics technology to an organization, to a community, without saying, why are you doing it? Without them being able to connect to real life problems, that's not going to succeed. So basically, it's a co-creative process. For us, the first thing that any municipality of any size, of any budget needs to do is to listen to their community, maybe do some town halls, doing some focus groups, start getting the partners in the community. We partner with universities. It's very important. Local community colleges, local STEM high schools that they have a lot of brain power from those young folks that they can bring a lot of ideas, and then bring the Chamber of Commerce, bring the improvement district, bring everybody together and start listening and start seeing how you can align those forces together.
Thank you. Herb, I'll follow up with with you, where do you see the most interesting use cases being leveraged from the right-of-way? I mean, I think of transportation as a given. I mean, there's a lot going on with drones right now in terms of creating highways in the sky. I mean, where do you see really the strong use cases for why, right-of-way needs to be digitized?
So I think one of the first things that I look at is, again, I warned you we talk public safety, right? Public safety doesn't mean only public safety. A safe city and a smart city. But if you don't have a safe or smart, you don't have economic development, you don't have vibrancy, you don't have people downtown, you don't have all the things that you need to be able to make a city, a good place to, work and live and do all the other things. So the first asset that I look at that's really important, I look at a collection of assets. So smart integrated lighting. On top of that NEMA socket, which again, cities all have to have lighting, right? Without lighting, it's really hard to get around. That NEMA socket, you can plug in all these different types of things. You can look at camera systems, that PTZ, high resolution camera, that can do car counting. For the real estate developer to be able to understand how to do a traffic count, what's the pedestrian traffic on a Saturday from 12 to 4. Now I know if I should put a Starbucks here or I should do something else. That same PTZ camera can do, watch list or banned patrons. So in private sector or public property, you can be able to look at people that are problems, but you can do facial recognition, which has got a dirty, word associated with it, but that's the reality. You can do LPR, license plate recognition, or automated LPR. Really important in Kansas City, which is where I live. We've solved crimes through LPR, probably a lot in your communities, but the same LPR that solves crimes can also get rid of the parking lot attendant. It can do code enforcement. It reduces labor, saving time, money, cost. The old statistic, which what they say about statistics, 83% of the time they're made up, right? But how much traffic on the city streets looking for that parking space? LPR can even be able to help enforce people that are not parking in the street for hours and hours and hours or days on end. So I think, lighting, camera systems, and then drones. The drone detection, which I think is going to be something we talk about here in a moment. The drone detection threat is the thing that keeps me awake the most at night. Category 1, Category 2 drones, drone swarms, first-person view drones, if you want to talk a little bit about that. But we did work for FIFA World Cup. We did the security analysis for a number of cities, looking at the threat scenarios and the soft targets. But the right-of-way is the most critical infrastructure on the planet to be able to not only create economic vibrancy, but assure the safety of people, pedestrians, visitors for FIFA World Cup or just daily life. So to me, it's those assets that to me are the most critical.
I'll do a follow-up question. You've mentioned a few, but LiDAR seems to be a very interesting technology, especially as it relates to computer vision, not having to actually record people's faces and things of that nature. What have your guys' experience in LiDAR technology, to advance, some of the things you mentioned?
So we started in 2018 our first LiDAR digitization of the right-of-way. So we have 270 miles of roads in Coral Gables, and we have a lot of assets. And sometimes we have too many assets. Sometimes there was kind of like a pollution of too many signs, and we wanted to have a clear inventory of all the signs in the city. What is the status of the sign? We need to inventory the road conditions, the sidewalk conditions, and then we started in 2018 with our first LiDAR project. We digitized all those right-of-ways. And we were able to use AI algorithms and machine learning algorithms like random forest, for example, that can tell you the probability of deterioration of asphalt. So you can do preventative maintenance of your roads and say, okay, in the next 2 years, for example, this road has a high probability of developing the potholes or the crackings. And then you have more tools to plan your budgets, for public works and for traffic engineering and for roads. So we started doing that digitization. We merged that with our asset management systems, and we inventory all the signs in the city. We got the PACER civil engineering condition rating of the roads. We detected the potholes, we detected the crackings, the sidewalks, and all the furniture that you have in the right-of-way, like the poles, like the signs, like the waste management furniture. And we did that automated inventory that used to take actually months and months and months of manual work to do. It took really 1 week. But then that data gets old. We have trees that are no longer there and signs that change. But we also with photonics, because the system is like an autonomous vehicle that does like 360, 180. So it creates a point cloud. So you get a digital twin point cloud and also what they call geocyclorama. So you get like a true vision, like think about Google Street View. You get that kind of vision too. So that got old, so we just did it again with new technology. This technology is better because now you have more AI power. Today, for example, you inventory the species of the trees. You detect the species of the trees, you measure the height and the canopy of the tree, and the diameter of the trunk at 5 feet. You know what that gives you with an equation? Carbon sequestration. So with those parameters, you can calculate carbon sequestration and create a heat map of carbon sequestration that you can overlay to a carbon emission heat map, and then you can create a carbon net heat map of your city. So those things we are doing today with AI-powered LiDAR technology that augments our digital twin. So we were able to integrate that to our digital twin, and that is a good place to be in terms of visibility.
That's a great point, and you know it's funny because I've seen use cases where looking at high vegetation and basically weather conditions to predict potentially wildfires and things of that nature. I know on the West Coast they've played around with that technology. It's very interesting. I'll turn a question to you because I feel like the right-of-way too also becomes a much bigger vector for bad actors. I mean, we have a physical security situation with all the technology and investments we're doing in the right-of-way, but bad actors from a cyber perspective becomes a problem. How have you seen, you work with a lot of municipalities across the country, how have you seen security play an important role in protecting these assets?
So the first thing that people should understand is that, you know, vandalism is one version of, you know, a threat to the physicality of infrastructure. And then there are approach events, which are public safety events, so think about like domestic terrorism. Take a step further, and I don't want to alarm anyone in these comments, by the way, but the number of events until 2023 were actually oriented towards physical infrastructure that were non-violent in nature. So you might have a fire, but it was an incendiary device that caused human life. It flipped 2 years ago. So the number of events now that have a total disregard for human life is flipped. And in the last just 2 years alone, there were about 163 incidents. Not all of it made the paper. But the number of events that are occurring by people that you cannot pick up. They are radicalized in chat rooms. They are extremists. And they could be your neighbor next door. They are not nation state actors. They're people that look very normal, but because they have griefs or grievances or, you know, a variety of things. So what I look at, you know, public safety and the right of way is you really have to be able to install sensors and look at, first of all, what I like about LiDAR is that it's a very tolerable way to be able to get detection because the privacy, I'm a privacy advocate, but there are 4 cameras, you know, on us right now as I'm counting them, looking at us on stage. But when you left your hotel or house or wherever you went, you were on cameras the entire way here. So privacy's gone. But what can we do with the metadata? How robust of a data stream can we get from LiDAR or other things? What can cities and citizens tolerate to put in the right of way to be able to give us a series of data points or network to be able to detect people that we cannot otherwise detect? Social signals on the left side, and the left is not a political statement, but on the left side, social signals, they usually declare intentions socially before acting. On the right side, they're well mobilized or orchestrated, but they will not declare anything. The point is we have to protect from both now. It's an equal opportunity game, sadly. So I think right-of-ways, you've got to look at what are the public use. It's not just public safety. The ROI for, you know, let's say LA 28 or FIFA World Cup, it will pay dividends well past the security events on some of these National Security Council, you know, designated deals. But the right-of-way to me is about drone detection, lighting to be able to take accidents or give people the ability to not only trip and fall, but I'm not going to get mugged. Or if something happens, the first responders can get there, dial up the lights. I can get eyes on target. I can be able to look at what exactly needs to be deployed. So there's a variety of things. It's all fused together in the operating system.
That's a great point. Raimundo, I'll go to you. You said those famous 2-letter acronyms that I always try to avoid saying, but AI, you've mentioned AI. You know, I feel like a lot of municipalities start toying with automation. They go into digital twinning, you mentioned, in terms of a lot of the analysis and predictive maintenance that you were trying to grapple with. But then the future of agentic AI. I mean, where do you see, you know, where do you, what has been your pathway, and how have you gotten to where you are? Because I feel like your city is very advanced in this area. And where do you see governments in that agentic future?
Well, I would say that we started using AI maybe when we started talking about cybersecurity and advanced threat detection and using neural networks and deep learning to help to protect our systems from adversarial AI. So that was the first thing that I remember, you know, like more than 10 years ago when we got to AI versus AI types in our systems for cybersecurity standpoint. So then we went to fault tolerance, so having AI system that can switch from the fiber optic to the wireless to everything during a hurricane. During a hurricane, we have to activate multiple layers of automated failover. So that's kind of like AI powered. And then we went to computer vision. So in 2015, we created the Community Intelligence Center, which is like a fusion center with a lot of video walls and systems. And we get over 1,000 sensors, optical sensors and cameras from throughout the city, and we need to make sense of that. There's no human being that is going to be watching 1,000 cameras. But then we started using AI also for analytics, and today we evolved that to what you call today agentic video AI, or VLM, video language models. Basically, it's like a generative AI, but you use it on the video context, where you can have a conversation with that system and ask them for a specific behavioral analytics, like, hey, find somebody that is writing a graffiti in this monument, or somebody that is vandalizing this art piece, or look for somebody doing something at a park after 10 p.m. where they are supposed to be closed, or somebody lighting a fire, or look for behavioral issues, or an abandoned package. So those things you pretty much today is very easy. It's a conversation between you. It's a conversational video-powered system where you can ask those questions in our CIC. The evolution from our early computer vision to that, went in parallel to the evolution in the industry, in the technology. So the technology became more mature. Now we started doing what you call AI agents. First we started with chatbots, but those chatbots were not AI agents the way you think about them today. They were NLP agents. Today you are more about generative AI, you talk about ChatGPT type of systems, and you talk about LLMs and RAG frameworks. We started that in 2020, 2021 with a grant from NSF. That was our first pilot. At a time that was very early, and we did it with a scientist from MIT called Dr. Saif Savage. With the years now, my own team members, they know how to create those systems, and they connect them to our Azure cloud and our AWS cloud. We have a research laboratory when we get like 20 interns from university and colleges at any given time, and they all come from community college. They already know how to build those systems, they know how to connect them, they know how to build the APIs, how to write Python language to create the AIs. Today is everywhere. Today is very easy to create those capabilities. That's why I think that today is easier for the city to start a smart city journey, because connectivity became cheaper and easier to deploy, and automation became cheaper and easier to do if you have pretty much talent. Believe in young talent. Those young professionals coming out of community college, they can help you build an enterprise with a lot of exponential technologies today.
No, that's a great point. Now I'll go to Herb here. So all this, the alphabet soup of technology, costs a lot of money. And let's be honest, that's typically the roadblock a lot of municipalities face. Would have been successful, whether it be private sector partnerships or even other solutions to help organizations fund a lot of these initiatives.
Sure. So certainly you can try and sell forward the reduction of cost or the positive impact. I like to try and work on as many things as possible. I'll give you an example. Right now, there's a grant out there. It's the 5th year of a 5-year grant, SS4A, Safe Streets and Roads for All. Turn-in deadline, if you don't know about it and have not done it, is May 20th. So you got to bust a move if you're going to go apply. But under the SS4A grant, it's based on the concept of VisionZero, which was the premise that there's a systems-based approach to be able to reduce loss of life between pedestrians and cars. When they get together at the wrong time and one of them is moving, particularly the car, bad things happen, like people die or they get injured. So the goal was, how do we create a systems thinking to reduce that? SS4A allows you to do two things. One, there's the physicality, like traffic calming circles or different things like that. But the US DOT has got a whole laundry list of proven countermeasures. And so this year, there's about $1 billion, nearly $700 million underneath the implementation grant side was that maximum award is $25 million, but the same lights, the same cameras are covered, and they will pay for them. And so, yes, there's matching, and there's some of the requirements. If you all, if anyone wants information, we've helped a lot of cities get these awards. And we don't charge for that, by the way. We're just walking around knowledge and helping with the advice. But the point is, if you look at, public safety awards, or, DOT, it's a public safety but not crime, or terrorism, it's, accidents. I like to find things that have use cases. Again, that same asset, cameras, PD, city planners, Department of Transportation, water department, I mean, on and on and on. How many different departments can we have? As long as we get the asset installed and operating, does it really matter who paid for it? We just need to get it out there. So the grants, there are grants that are still out there. IIJA is carried forward from the previous administration. Somehow it survived into this one, but there are grants that are out there. You have to be very opportunistic. There's a grid grant that just came out. It's a big one. It's also a very short fuse on it. But there are various things you can find. You just got to go looking for it, but be ready to apply, because the windows these days are like 4 weeks, maybe 6 weeks. I see you nodding your head. I don't know if you're in the middle of one, but man, you got to move fast.
Yeah.
So.
You got to almost have a proposal already in the wings waiting.
Yeah, I mean, and really it's about the narrative. A narrative that has multiple dimensions, multiple facets, ROI, impact. If you can put, there's no longer kind of this, there's not a political statement, but the DEI provision or the ESG provision used to be a scoring mechanism. They eliminated it 2 years ago. But even if you look at underserved communities or those that are most disadvantaged, those are still aspects that are important. They just don't have it on the scorecard anymore. But that's how you should write the grant proposals, understanding the full impact, and that's frankly how you sell it to the stakeholders and the public.
Good point. Kind of continuing on this talk about value. I mean, one of the things, forget about paying for this, but like, what kind of value does this bring communities, especially the private sector and attracting businesses to the city? And you've had a lot of good successes. Can you share some of those stories?
There are many. The most important are the quality of life that are difficult to quantify issues, like reducing crime or reducing traffic accidents. So life safety things that really is difficult to put in monetization terms. But then you have the economic growth that is coming from building a smart district infrastructure. They say, if you build it, they will come. We started building those smart districts in 2015 and started putting free public Wi-Fi throughout the city, in public areas, community centers, parks, etc. Then we started seeing a growth. A lot of tech companies started moving to Coral Gables. Now we see a growth of the tax base, from all those investments. We see, for example, FIFA moving the headquarters for the World Cup to Coral Gables, and Ryder moving their global headquarters to Coral Gables. Coral Gables was already a city attracting a lot of innovation as a hub. Over 140 multinational corporate headquarters and over 20 consulates and international trade offices. But then, besides the quality of life attractiveness of the city, the smart component started also attracting. And now I have companies, their CEOs call me, and they say they are moving their headquarters from California, from New York, from all over the place to Coral Gables. And now you have like Apple building a 40,000 square feet in Coral Gables corporate office, and Amazon Prime Video, and you have a lot of tech, actually multi-billion-dollar IPOs happening in the downtown district. Those things actually didn't happen 10 years ago. So I see, it's difficult to quantify and to correlate, but the Brookings Institution did a study that metro areas that invested in smart technology, in smart city technology, smart policing technology, they realized a 3x bottom line boost. And we haven't got a 3x bottom line boost, but we have got maybe like 1.5x boost, which is, it's difficult to quantify because it's an ecosystem, the enterprise is the ecosystem now. But you see it happening, it's anecdotal. You see how you are attracting a lot of investment, entrepreneurial type of efforts, but also brain power, a lot of talents. And now with our research laboratory and our Gables Tech Tank incubator, we are also creating a talent pipeline to feed that ecosystem. So now we find talent that we build in our smart city lab, and we connect them with the opportunities in the private sector. We connect them to job needs in AI, cybersecurity, full stack development, and data science in the local ecosystem of businesses. So they don't need to hire outside of the city. they can, so we help them to build the talent, to build the skills, and we help them to connect to job opportunities too.
That's excellent. That's excellent. And I know we're running up against time here. Any last minute thoughts, Herb, in terms of where you'd leave the audience, in terms of, you know, where are practical first steps in terms of building out more digitization in the right of way?
I'm always a big fan of tell me your problems. There's a lot of creativity. I found a technology recently out of Waterloo, Iowa. Had no idea it was going to be able to solve the need of a very big use case under RHTP, but it does. So I always look at the problem. I'm a design thinking, type of person. Look at the problem, the opportunity to be able to solve it may be coming from the most unexpected place. Disparate technologies, disparate problems often have really a lot of relevance to what you're trying to solve. So if anyone wants to chat, I'll buy you a cup of coffee right over there and we can chat. But thanks for listening, and that's probably the biggest thing is think about the problem creatively.
Good point.
So high value proof of concepts and pilots or prototypes that the citizens can feel right away the change. Like doing an area with free public Wi-Fi, and then you put some cameras and you use computer vision to count pedestrians, and you share that data in your hub with the businesses, and the businesses use that data to improve business. So you have kind of like a trickle-down effect, and you just spend maybe a few $1,000s in getting it done. So it's high value. Basically start with a high value proof of concept that will prove the value to scale later.
Yes, yeah, and that's a very good point, because I feel like do small projects that are going to have high possibility of success, and you build on that, right? The city is going to be more willing to invest in those type of projects. Any questions from anybody from the audience? Yeah.
With these computer visions that you're sticking out in the cities, intelligent traffic signals, I think to be really smart, need to have computer vision that can actually see what's happening in real time and make decisions. With Miami being the 8th most congested city in the world now, how are you progressing in any of those projects, pilots, and what do you see as the gating factors to make it a success?
So the actionable insight from traffic sensors has been helping everybody in the Smart City Hub, including traffic engineers. So we help them, for example, do traffic studies and see how they can make sidewalks, or they can make the crosswalks, safer. And we have been able, in some cases, to improve the safety of crosswalks or intersections, analyzing trends and data. Now, solving the traffic problem is more difficult, but there have been a lot of strategies that have been informed by IoT data that is coming from the Smart City Hub. Anybody can see it because we share it with the public. Go to Gables.ai. Gables.ai, you will see all our traffic data and environmental data shared with the public. So that data is gold. That data can be used by urban planners, can be used by traffic engineers, by public safety first responders, and then make a difference by knowing what the data is telling you, the storytelling of the data. It's not the data, it's the story that the data is telling. And now with AI and with machine learning, you can do a more thorough analysis of that. The other part is the project we are doing with the Pacific Northwest National Laboratory, UC Berkeley, and the private industry. It's called Autonomia. If you want to look at Autonomia, it's like autonomous, but IA at the end. It's an autonomous intelligent assistance system that we are trying to optimize traffic with adaptive traffic control systems. Basically using AI to improve the signal phase and timing of the traffic lights. So we have done this project for 4 years. We just presented it at the Energy Innovation Summit. And basically, the only reason that system is not live is because there are risk issues and we need to work with the counties. The counties control the traffic lights. But we were able to prove on a digital twin and simulations that Autonomia reduces the traffic delays over 25% and reduces carbon emissions and energy consumption. So applying AI for optimizing the traffic lights really is something that has proven that when done correctly can have quick effects.
Awesome. Any other questions? All right, we got a quiet group here. All right, well, thank you very much for everybody sticking on an extra 5 minutes. I appreciate that. If you're interested in traffic management technologies, come to the Cisco booth. We are definitely showcasing some of our partnerships with traffic management, preemptive signaling. We also have a partnership with our company, with another company, Aero Wireless, in terms of technology being retrofitted in regular smart poles and infrastructure that you normally would see in the right-of-way, how we integrate that in common urban life. So thanks everybody for joining us, and have a great rest of the day.